The Bible accurately describes events of wars and conflicts as signs related to the end times. These mentions appear in various books, such as Matthew 24:6 through 7, where Jesus warns about wars and rumors of wars and how nation will rise against nation. However, he also points out that these events are not definitive signs of the end, but the beginning of birth pains. Throughout history, these prophecies have sparked interest, especially when they coincide with recent events such as world wars or current international conflicts. This is not necessarily the end, but the beginning of sorrows. In recent years, some events have led believers to reflect on the relationship between these prophecies and current events. For example, the conflict between Russia and Ukraine that began in 2022 has been seen by some as a modern example of rumors of wars in a key geopolitical region. Although the Bible does not specifically mention these nations, the symbolism of warring nations fits with what is mentioned in Ezekiel 38, where a future confrontation led by Gog in the land of Magog is discussed. There are also the wars in the Middle East, from the Arab Spring uprisings to the conflicts in Syria and Yemen. The instability in this region is related to prophecies of chaos that would precede the establishment of the kingdom of God on earth. In that same context of the modern Cold War between major powers like the United States and China, the warnings about kingdoms against kingdoms seem more relevant than ever. Following the prophetic context related to global wars, Jesus also mentions in Luke 21:20 through 24 the destruction of Jerusalem as a key sign. This historical event took place in the year 70 AD, but the symbolism of Jerusalem being surrounded by armies is interpreted today in a broad sense, especially as Israel remains a focal point of global conflict. However, according to biblical studies, it is crucial not to fall into alarmism. Passages like Matthew 24:6 urge believers not to worry because wars are part of human history, not an immediate sign of the end. Rather, what is important is the global preaching of the gospel, as mentioned in Matthew 24:14. And this gospel of the kingdom will be preached in all the world as a witness to all the nations, and then the end will come. The relationship between current wars and biblical prophecies can be better understood through recent events. The COVID-19 pandemic and its global effects, mentioned alongside wars as signs of future tribulations. The conflicts in Ukraine and the Middle East have renewed interest in interpretations of the last days. Christians are called to remain vigilant and not be dominated by fear, but to focus on fulfilling the mission of spreading the message of Christ. Current wars are not the end, but reminders of God's call towards an eternal purpose. The true sign will be the global preaching of the gospel, as mentioned in Matthew 24:14. This relates to the technological advances that have allowed the word to reach all nations in recent years. These events mentioned in this narrative call us directly to reflect on the central message of the Scriptures, to live with faith, hope, and a clear mission to share the gospel.